The story based on true events, Maya was a sound engineer. She worked with noise for a living, microphones, speakers, frequencies. She understood them all. Sound was just science. It could be measured, recorded, and explained. That's what she told herself as she drove through the empty desert. Her destination was a small town called Ponce. Population 84. It wasn't on any map worth looking at. Just a collection of old buildings and tired people in the middle of nowhere. But Ponce had a problem. For years, the residents had complained about a sound, a low, deep hum that never stopped. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. It kept them awake at night. It made them anxious. Some said it was driving them crazy. The government sent scientists. They checked for industrial equipment. They tested for earthquakes. They found nothing. The hum remained. Maya was the latest expert hired to solve the mystery. She was confident. She had expensive equipment and a scientific mind. She would find the source. She would fix it. She would leave. That was the plan. She arrived in Ponce in the late afternoon. The town was exactly what she expected. Dusty, quiet, and forgotten. The main street had a diner, a gas station, and a motel. Everything looked like it hadn't been painted since the 1970s. Maya checked into the motel. The owner was an older woman named Clara. She had dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted. "Are you here for the sound?" Clara asked. "Yes," Maya said. "I'm a sound engineer. I'm going to find the source." Clara shook her head slowly. "You're the fourth one. The others, they all thought they could fix it. What happened to them?" Clara stared at her for a long moment. "They left, or they stopped talking about it. The hum, it changes you." And Maya smiled politely. She didn't believe in things that changed you. She believed in data. But that night, she started to understand. Maya set up her equipment in the motel room. She had high-tech microphones, a portable recorder, and a laptop with specialized software. She was ready. She sat quietly and listened. At first, she heard nothing. Just the wind outside and the creaking of old pipes. Then she heard it. A low, deep vibration. It was barely perceptible, like standing next to a massive subwoofer at a concert, but much softer. It seemed to come from the ground itself, from the walls, from the air. Maya checked her instruments. The frequency was around 20 hertz. That was below the range of normal human hearing. But she could feel it. It vibrated in her chest. It made her teeth ache. She recorded the sound and ran an analysis on her laptop. The waveform was strange. It had a regular pulse, but there were subtle variations, random changes in pattern. Maya frowned. That didn't make sense. Natural phenomena had consistent patterns. Mechanical sources had predictable rhythms. But this was different. She looked at the screen again. The waveform seemed to shift. For just a second, it looked like a shape, a face. Huge and faceless, with no features at all. Maya blinked. The shape was gone. She told herself it was a glitch, a trick of her tired eyes. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. The next day, Maya walked through the town with her directional microphone. She pointed it at different buildings, different streets, different angles. The hum grew louder when she pointed toward a hill on the edge of town. An old man named Barnaby watched her from his porch. He was rocking in a chair, but his movements were jerky and nervous. His eyes were wide and unfocused. "The hill," he said. "It's the hill." Maya walked toward him. "What's on the hill?" "An old mine. Abandoned now. But the sound comes from there. I know it. Have you been up there?" Barnaby laughed. It was a horrible, hollow sound. "Oh, I've been. We all have. That's how it gets you. It pulls you in." "What gets you?" Barnaby's face twisted with fear. "The presence. The hum is just the sound of it breathing. It's been there for millions of years. It remembers everything. And it wants us to remember too." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. She didn't believe in supernatural nonsense. But there was something in Barnaby's eyes that made her uneasy. He wasn't just an old man with a vivid imagination. He was terrified. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. The hum was louder in her room. She could feel it in her bones. It seemed to pulse with a rhythm that was almost alive. She decided to go to the mine. The hill was dark and empty. The mine entrance was boarded up, but the wood was old and rotten. Maya pushed through easily. Inside, the air was cold and still. The hum was much louder now. It echoed through the stone tunnels, vibrating through her entire body. She walked deeper into the mine, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The walls were covered in carvings, strange spirals, and geometric patterns that looked ancient, older than the mine itself. The hum grew louder with every step. It wasn't just a sound anymore. It was a pressure, a weight pressing against her skull. Maya's equipment started going haywire. The needles on her recorders jumped wildly. The laptop screen flickered and glitched. Then she heard it. Voices. Whispers inside the hum. They were faint at first. Mumbled words she couldn't understand. But as she walked deeper, they became clearer. The pressure of a million years ail. The earth remembers everything. The screams of the rock, the dinosaur's last breath, the first fish that crawled onto land and wished it hadn't. Maya stopped walking. Her heart was pounding. The voices weren't coming from her equipment. They were coming from inside her head. She looked at the walls. The carvings seemed to move in the darkness. The spirals twisted and turned. The patterns shifted. A single voice rose above the others. It was deep and old. It spoke directly to her. Listen. Maya screamed and ran. Maya stumbled out of the mine, gasping for air. She got in her car and drove back to the motel. Her hands were shaking. Her mind was racing. She played back her recording of the mine. The audio was distorted and chaotic. But when she listened closely, she could hear the whispers again. They told her the truth. The hum was not a sound. It was a presence. The earth itself remembered everything that had ever happened on its surface. Every death, every fear, every scream. They were all trapped in the stone, vibrating at a frequency too low for humans to hear. But something had changed. Something had woken the memories up. Now they were leaking out, and anyone who listened too closely would hear them. Maya tried to turn off the recording. The dial was stuck. The hum came through the speakers, but it also came from inside her own head. She looked out the window. The town was dark, but she could see the residents standing on their porches. They weren't moving. They were just staring at the hill, staring at the mine, listening. Maya went to Barnaby's house. He was outside nailing boards over his windows. He looked worse than before. His eyes were bloodshot. His hands were shaking violently. I hear it too, Maya said. The memories, all the fear and pain from millions of years. Barnaby laughed again, that horrible, hollow laugh. No, you understand. It never stops. It gets inside you. It shows you everything. Every terrible thing that ever happened on this planet. It plays them on a loop inside your skull. Can you make it stop? Barnaby stopped hammering. He looked at Maya with dead eyes. No, he said. It's in you now. You carry it with you. It will follow you forever. That night, a storm rolled in, but it was a strange storm, completely silent. The lightning flashed, but there was no thunder. The wind howled, but there was no sound. The hum was the only thing Maya could hear. She drove back to the mine one last time. She needed answers. She needed to make it stop. Maya entered the mine. The hum was deafening. The walls pulsed with a sickly light. The carvings glowed. She screamed at the darkness. Do it, do I want? The whispers answered her. Why you well, caro us? A blinding pain exploded in Maya's head. She fell to her knees. The hum flooded her mind. She saw everything. The birth of the planet, the rise and fall of countless species, the suffering of every creature that had ever lived. It was all there. And now it was all inside her. She woke up the next morning on the ground outside the mine. The storm was gone. The town was quiet. Too quiet. The hum had stopped. Maya drove away from Ponce. She didn't look back. She drove for miles, trying to forget what she had seen. But the silence was worse than the hum, because she could still feel it, deep inside her bones. A low, constant vibration. The hum wasn't gone. It had found a new home. Maya looked at her hands. They were trembling. She could hear it now, faint at first, then louder. It was coming from her. She had become the vessel. The memories of the earth now lived inside her, and she would carry them forever. Maya sits in her car, staring blankly at the road ahead. The voiceover is calm and distant, as if spoken by someone who has already lost themselves. Sound is just science. It can be measured, recorded, explained. That's what I believed. But the hum wasn't a sound. It was something older, something that had been waiting beneath the ground. Beneath the silence, it remembers everything, every death, every scream, and now it remembers through me. I can hear it right now. It's in my teeth, in my bones. It will never stop, because the earth never forgets, and neither will I, A-F-A-D-A-K-K, T-H-E-N-D.